On a trip to a nature reserve in Brazil in 2019, I found myself standing on top of a rock formation after a long hike. I remember looking over all the land around me, just as the sun was setting behind the rocks. There were valleys and hills as far as I could see in all directions, and the light from the sunset illuminated the clouds and the green valley with a warm golden glow. I remember this moment because I felt so overcome by the beauty of my surroundings that I experienced a deep sense of completeness, awe, and presence. Being immersed in natural beauty can often feel like a transcendent spiritual experience, providing a powerful sense of fullness and connection. Many religions incorporate the natural world into their understanding of what is sacred. Beauty is coded into the universe in the forms of symmetry, harmony, complexity, and order. Take musical harmonies, which are composed of sound waves with mathematical ratios that complement each other. We experience them as beautiful, independent of our ability to understand them and measure them. We evolved to visually, sonically, gustatorily, and tactily experience the environment, but it is one thing to be able to see, taste, hear, and touch our surroundings, and a whole other to find the world beautiful. Studies have found a correlation in spatial relationships between artwork from various cultures and natural landscapes. But why is natural scenery beautiful to us to begin with? Why did we evolve to perceive beauty? In the absence of a being who perceives, is beauty still present? Beauty is informed by both cultural values and direct sensory perception. Christoph Riedi's model of how we experience beautiful art differentiates between the sensory and cognitive processing of beauty and proposes that the two come together to produce an aesthetic experience. In this model, the sensory processing of beauty is universal and innate to our perceptions. The cognitive processing is dependent on narrative, cultural context, and attached to a wider social value. Beauty can be a primarily sensory experience, like the way the light hits a tree branch, or it can be reliant on cultural values, as is the case with moral beauty, which Rhett Diesner defines as acts of virtue. Ting-Ting Wang's study used fMRI scans to compare which parts of the brain are activated by the processing of moral beauty versus facial beauty. They found that the neural networks in moral beauty and in facial beauty overlapped in their fMRI study, suggesting that aesthetic judgments share a common neural mechanism. One key difference is that the perception of facial beauty activated the cortical reward region, the orbitofrontal cortex, and subcortical reward region, the putamen, whereas the perception of moral beauty activated the subcortical reward region and not the orbitofrontal cortex. This gestures to a stronger connection between facial beauty and the reward system. On the other hand, Wang's study found that moral beauty involved a larger scale cortical network and more complex cognitive processes. Wang hypothesizes that the use of the orbitofrontal cortex and putamen in processing facial beauty is connected to the social and physiological needs of humans, whereas the larger scale network activation of the brain for moral beauty may reflect an association between moral beauty and high-level non-physiological social needs. Diesner and Riedi's both theorize the evolutionary utility of beauty for social bonding, whether it is the creation and appreciation of art or an act of virtue. Aristotle differentiates between the vegetative, sensate, and rational in reference to organisms. Animals, being sensate, experience beauty on a perceptual level, such as in attraction to mates, while humans, being sensate and rational, can also experience a rational form of beauty, such as moral beauty. Aristotle's dichotomy between sensation and rationality, described as bottom-up and top-down, again marks a parallel between sensing, perception, and rationality, cognition. And for Aristotle, it is the harmonization of these two that constitutes a good life. So, what if the ability to process, experience, and create beauty is a purpose in and of itself? Or perhaps evolution also serves beauty, rather than a singular preference for survival. Is it conceivable that beauty, harmony, and symmetry are desirable traits independent of their utility for reproduction and are reflective of a greater inclination towards beauty present throughout the universe? Perhaps beauty exists as the relationship between the perceiver and the perceived, such that as one stares out over an expansive valley, a linkage is made between the living being and the totality of the universe. We, as creatures of the universe, may exist as the universe, witnessing itself and experiencing its own beauty. What if we evolved in part for the purpose of experiencing the beauty of the universe, in turn experiencing our own beauty, and the thriving of our species serves this purpose?